You were there. You were alive. You were learning, feeling, even dreaming. So why can't you remember a single second of it? Most people assume babies just don't think very much, that their brains are basically switched off, running on sleep and milk, and not a lot else. But that is completely wrong. Babies are thinking constantly. They are absorbing everything around them at a speed that would exhaust any adult. They are learning faces, voices, patterns, emotions, and language, all at the same time, before they can even sit up on their own. So the memories should be there. The experiences happened. The brain was running. And yet, when you try to reach back to your earliest years, there is almost nothing. Maybe a flash of a room, a smell, a feeling, but nothing solid, nothing real, nothing you could actually describe. Scientists call this infantile amnesia, and for over 100 years they have been trying to figure out why it happens. Here is what makes it so strange. It is not just that you forget a few things. You forget almost everything before the age of 2 or 3, and most of what you remember before the age of 7 is fuzzy at best. Whole years of your life, years when you were eating, playing, laughing, crying, learning, just gone. And it gets stranger. Animals experience this too. Rats, monkeys, even dolphins show signs of infantile amnesia. So this is not a human quirk. This is something buried deep in biology, something ancient, something that evolution either could not fix or decided not to. The first person to seriously study this was Sigmund Freud, and to be fair, he noticed something real. He saw that his patients could not remember their early childhoods. He called it infantile amnesia, and he made it famous. But his explanation was wrong. He thought the brain was actively hiding those memories, burying them because they were too disturbing. That sounded dramatic enough to stick for a while, but it was not the answer. The real answer turned out to be far more interesting and far more surprising, because the reason you cannot remember being a baby has almost nothing to do with what happened to you. It has everything to do with the brain you had at the time, a brain that was incredible in some ways and completely unready in others. To understand this, you need to understand one small part of your brain, a tiny curved structure buried deep inside your skull. It is called the hippocampus, and without it, you cannot form memories at all. The hippocampus is the brain's filing system. Every time something happens to you, it is the hippocampus that takes that experience and turns it into a memory you can actually recall later. Without it working properly, experiences just pass through you like water through a net. Nothing sticks. And here is the problem. When you were a baby, your hippocampus was not finished yet. The hippocampus does not arrive fully formed. It builds itself slowly over the first few years of life. And one of the most important parts of that process is something called neurogenesis, the creation of new brain cells. Now, neurogenesis sounds like a good thing, and in adult life it mostly is. New brain cells help you learn, they help you adapt, they help your brain stay flexible and sharp. But in a baby's brain, the rate of neurogenesis is extraordinary. The hippocampus is producing new cells at a speed that adults could never match. And that speed, that incredible burst of growth, is actually the problem. Here is why. Every time a flood of new cells arrives in the hippocampus, the existing network gets disrupted. Old connections get overwritten. New pathways form before the old ones have a chance to solidify. The brain is building so fast that it cannot hold on to what it has already built. Think of it like trying to write a note on a piece of paper while someone else is constantly printing new text over the top of what you just wrote. The writing happens, but it gets buried before you can read it back. This theory was tested in rats. Scientists found that when they slowed down neurogenesis in young rats, the rats suddenly showed better memory of early experiences. And when they sped up neurogenesis in adult rats, the adults started showing memory gaps similar to infantile amnesia. The faster the brain grows, the more the past gets erased. But neurogenesis is only part of the story, because even if new cells weren't flooding in, there is another problem. Babies are missing something that adults take completely for granted. They are missing the scaffolding that memories need to survive. When you form a memory as an adult, you do not just record what happened. You connect it to everything else you already know. You attach it to a time, a place, a feeling, a word, a name. You give it context, and that context is what lets you retrieve the memory later. Without context, memories dissolve. Babies have almost no context. They have no language to attach to their experiences. They have no sense of time. No yesterday, no last week, no before. They have no concept of self, no sense of me, of my life, of my story. story. They are experiencing everything for the first time, with no existing framework to hook it onto. Language matters more than most people realize. When you can name something, you can remember it. When you can tell yourself a story about what happened, that story becomes a memory. Babies cannot do this yet. The experiences flow through them, vivid and real in the moment, but with nothing to pin them down. There is a beautiful experiment that shows this. Researchers taught babies a simple trick: how to press a button to make a toy move. The babies learned it. They remembered it for weeks, but the moment they gained language and grew into toddlers, the memory disappeared. It was as if the experience had been stored in a language the brain no longer spoke. There is another layer to this, and it is the layer that most people never think about. Memory is not just about storage. It is about identity. When you remember something from your past, you remember it as you, as the person telling your own story. You remember where you were, how you felt, what it meant to you. That kind of memory is called autobiographical memory, and it requires something that babies completely lack: a sense of self. This sounds philosophical, but it is deeply biological. Before a child develops a stable sense of who they are, before they understand that they are a continuous person moving through time, they cannot form the kind of memories that hold a life story together. Scientists test this in a surprising way. They use a mirror. A baby younger than about 18 months will look at their own reflection and show no recognition. They do not realize they are looking at themselves. But somewhere around 18 to 24 months, something clicks. The child sees the reflection, reaches up to touch their own face, and understands. That is me. That moment, the moment a child recognizes themselves, is one of the first signs that autobiographical memory is becoming possible, because now there is a self to attach the memories to. And this is why children in different cultures start to form lasting memories at slightly different ages. In cultures where parents frequently talk to children about the past, where they say things like, "Do you remember when we went to the river? Do you remember what we ate? Do you remember how happy you were?" Children build autobiographical memory earlier. The conversation about the past is actually helping to build the machinery that stores the past. Language, self-awareness, and memory are not three separate things. They grow together, they build each other, and until all three are in place, the brain simply cannot hold on to a life story. But here is where it gets deeply strange, because the memories did not just fail to form. In many cases, they formed and then disappeared. Studies have shown that children as young as 2 and 3 can remember events in surprising detail. Ask a 2-year-old about a trip to the zoo from last month, and they will tell you things you have forgotten yourself. The memory is there. It is vivid. It is real. And then it vanishes. By the time that child is 6 or 7, the memory is gone. Not fuzzy, gone. Researchers followed children over years and watched this happen. The early memories did not fade slowly. They dropped off a cliff. As the brain matured and new systems came online, the early memories were simply not compatible with the new architecture. They could not make the translation. It is like trying to play an old cassette tape on a modern phone. The recording exists, the information is there, but the machine can no longer read it. This raises a question that nobody has fully answered yet. If the memories formed, if they were real and vivid and retrievable at the time, where did they go? Are they truly gone, or are they still somewhere inside the brain, locked in a format we cannot access? Some scientists believe they are truly gone, overwritten by the flood of new cells, dissolved by the absence of context, erased by the shift to a new memory system, nothing to recover. Others are not so sure. There is evidence, strange, fragmentary evidence, that early experiences leave marks even when the explicit memories do not survive. Children who experience trauma before the age of 3 often show emotional responses to things they cannot consciously explain. A particular smell, a certain tone of voice, a shape of a room, something in them recognizes a danger or a comfort that their conscious mind has no record of. This suggests that the brain holds on to something, not the story, not the scene, but the feeling. The emotional residue of early experience may survive long after the memory itself has gone. And this has real consequences, because those early years, the years you cannot remember, are among the most important of your life. The attachments you formed, the safety you felt or did not feel, the voices that surrounded you, the touch that comforted you or the absence of it. All of this shaped the person you became, and none of it is available for you to examine. You are, in many ways, a person built by experiences you will never be able to revisit. There is one more twist, and this one is genuinely unsettling. The memories you do have from early childhood, the ones that feel real, the ones you are certain happened, may not be real at all. Research on childhood memory consistently shows that a significant number of early memories are false. They are reconstructions. reconstructions, fragments of stories told by parents, photographs seen repeatedly, dreams mistaken for events. One study found that a large number of adults could be led to believe they had been lost in a shopping mall as a child, a completely invented event, simply by telling them it had happened and asking them to try to remember it. Most of them eventually produced detailed, confident memories of an event that never occurred. Your brain does not store memories like a video file. It reconstructs them every time you remember, and every reconstruction is a chance for error, a chance for a detail to shift, a chance for something false to feel true. So here is where we land. You cannot remember being a baby because your hippocampus was not ready, because you had no language to anchor the experiences, because you had no sense of self to attach them to, because the brain grew so fast that it erased its own early work, and because the few fragments that survived may not even be real. You lived an entire world before you were capable of keeping any of it, and the person you are today was built on a foundation you will never be allowed to see. The strangest part of all, every human who has ever lived experienced exactly the same thing. Every person who ever walked the earth, every king, every soldier, every scientist, every child, lost their earliest years to the same quiet erasure. We all began in the same darkness, and none of us can go back.